Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving headfirst into a massive paradigm shift in personal finance. Right, we're unpacking Robert Kiyosaki's legendary book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and honestly, it all centers around this incredible tale of two fathers. You've got the poor dad who was highly educated but literally always struggling with money. And on the flip side, you've got the rich dad. This guy didn't even finish 8th grade, yet somehow became one of the wealthiest men in Hawaii. By looking at how these two completely different guys viewed the world, we can basically unlock the real secrets to building wealth. Which brings us to this really fascinating question, right? Why is it that the highly educated so often struggle financially? I mean, we all know a brilliant doctor or lawyer pulling in a massive salary, but they're still somehow living paycheck to paycheck.
Oh, absolutely. It's because we've all been spoon-fed the exact same traditional advice. Go to school, get good grades, and get a safe, secure job. That was literally the poor dad's exact playbook.
But here's the kicker. Our schools are fantastic at teaching us how to work for money, but they completely drop the ball on teaching us how money actually works. So you end up with these incredibly educated professionals who are clinging to job security and absolutely terrified of financial risk simply because they lack basic financial literacy. And, that difference in financial literacy, it completely starts in your own head. The poor dad's default reaction to anything expensive was just, I can't afford it.
Yeah, and the rich dad pointed out that saying, I can't afford it, is basically like snapping a padlock on your brain. It just shuts everything down and you stop thinking entirely. But if you just flip that script and ask, how can I afford it? Bam, that acts like a key. It forces your brain to kick into gear and get to work. It opens up all these new possibilities and dreams. It is this massive, game-changing shift from just passively accepting your situation to actively solving the problem.
All right, moving into our first main concept here, assets versus liabilities, also known as the KISS principle. So changing your mindset is just the first step. To actually build wealth, we need to rely on a super simple definition. An asset is simply something that puts money into your pocket, period. Think about a rental house that gives you monthly income, or stocks that pay out dividends.
Right, and a liability is just something that takes money out of your pocket. Think of a high-interest credit card balance, or maybe a boat that's constantly draining your wallet for repairs. And, well, that's it.
Literally rule number one, and frankly, the only rule you really need. We adults love to overcomplicate this stuff with all sorts of confusing financial jargon. But if your goal is to be rich, just spend your life buying assets. Keep it super simple. If you visualize the cash flow of a genuine asset, the path is incredibly clear. The money moves from your asset column straight up into your income.
Exactly. Whether it's the rent checks coming in from a property or dividends from your portfolio, true assets are just constantly feeding cash directly into your pocket.
And that is exactly where the rich focus 100% of their energy. They're not obsessing over getting a bump in their salary. They are obsessing over acquiring things that generate their own independent cash flow. Now, contrast that with the cash flow of a liability. The money just goes straight out the door as an expense. And you have to ask yourself, how many people buy a brand new financed car completely convinced it's an asset?
Oh man, all the time. But what is it actually doing? It's draining money out of your pocket every single month. Loan payments, taxes, insurance, maintenance, the whole shebang.
Exactly. The poor and middle class constantly buy these massive liabilities, like a huge primary house or luxury cars, and they trick themselves into thinking they're assets. That right there is exactly why they get trapped. Which perfectly highlights a core idea from the source material. The poor and the middle class work for money, but the rich have money work for them. There's this amazing story where a 9-year-old Kiyosaki is working for the rich dad, literally dusting cans in a store for just 10 cents an hour.
Man, 10 cents an hour is just brutal.
Seriously? So obviously he gets super frustrated and wants to quit to find a better paying gig. But the rich dad sits him down and explains that quitting just to chase a slightly better paycheck is exactly what keeps most people completely stuck in the rat race.
Yeah, thinking that more money from a new job is going to magically solve all of your financial problems is a total trap. You've got to stop working for the money and start using the stuff between your ears to figure out how to make that money work for you.
Let's shift gears and look at the cash flow quadrant, which is essentially your financial blueprint. To really wrap your head around making money work for you, you've got to know where you stand in this quadrant. The poor dad's advice, it essentially kept you trapped on the left side of the model, going to school solely to become an employee.
But the rich dad's entire goal was making the journey over to the right side. His advice was, Go to school, graduate, build businesses, and become a successful investor.
It's all about abandoning that cozy illusion of job security on the left and aggressively moving toward true financial security on the right. Let's quickly break those specific roles down. Over in the E category, you've got the employee. Think of a teacher or a corporate manager who's just looking for that steady paycheck and safe job security.
Next is S for self-employed. That's your freelance designer or private practice dentist. Sure, they have professional independence, but they are still heavily trading their own time for dollars.
But then you make the jump. B is for business owner. This is someone who owns, say, an agency and hires smart people to run the day-to-day systems for them.
And finally, I for investor. This is the holy grail, where your money is doing all the heavy lifting. Think of someone just living off the returns of a massive real estate portfolio. True financial freedom is all about making that huge leap into the B and I categories.
Okay, so let's talk about overcoming the financial obstacles that inevitably stand in the way. Let's be totally real for a second. Even if you completely understand what an asset is and you're dying to be an investor, roadblocks are still going to pop up. We're talking about things like fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance.
Fear is honestly the biggest one. Specifically, the sheer terror of losing money. I mean, nobody likes losing money, right? But the wealthy manage that risk intelligently, instead of just playing it completely safe just to avoid a potential loss.
And laziness. Laziness is super fascinating here because it often disguises itself as being productive. It's like when you tell yourself you're just too busy at work to check on your investments or research a new market. It is a massive mental barrier keeping you stuck in place. Which leads us to our final section, building your actual financial foundation. So how do we actually conquer those mental roadblocks and get the ball rolling? Well, your mind is hands down your most powerful asset, so you have to invest in your own financial education first. Once you're learning, you immediately implement the golden rule. Pay yourself first. Step 1 of that rule is crucial. Keep your expenses as low as possible and build up your assets before you even think about buying those luxury liabilities. Step 2 is a real game changer. When you are short on cash, do not dip into your savings or your investments to pay your bills. The rich use their savings to create more money. They don't use it to bail themselves out of a tight spot. Exactly. And that brings us to step 3. You let that financial pressure inspire new income. Kiyosaki talks about defending fort assets like a loyal soldier. You don't just burn down your own fort to pay off a credit card bill. Spot on. You use your brain to go out there, hustle, and generate totally new income streams to pay those bills instead. Which brings us to the ultimate question to wrap up today's explainer. You have 2 truly incredible gifts in this life, your mind and your time. Every single day, with every single dollar that passes through your hands, you literally hold the power to determine your own financial destiny. If you spend it foolishly, you are actively choosing to be poor. If you spend it on liabilities, you're choosing to join the middle class. But if you invest it in your mind and learn how to acquire true assets, you are choosing wealth. So the only question left is, what are you going to choose today? Thanks so much for exploring this with us.